Welcome back to Final Fantasy XIV. I was looking at what I had recorded for the Botanist for Heavensward. I don't like how I've done it, so I want to use the New Game Plus option to repeat this. And no rewards in New Game Plus. Good day to you, Serenia. It does my spirit well to see you again. Inspired by your words, I have been reflecting upon the relationship between man and forest. I should like to hear your opinion on... Fufucha, I'm back. Have you given any thought to my request? Oh, beg your pardon? I didn't know you had a guest. Judging by your attire, I take it you're a botanist as well? I'm sorry, but our situation is unchanged. I'm afraid there are no botanists present who can assist with your story. I won't make a burden of myself, I promise. I just need them to answer a few questions in their spare time. What about this adventurer here? She looks like a capable sort. Serenia? Well, she is certainly one of our best. But first things first, allow me to introduce you to Muji Mevrilla, a reporter for the Raven. She's planning a series of articles for which she requests our guild's cooperation. Specifically, she would like to follow the doings of a first-rate botanist for an indefinite period of time. Alas, none among us who meet her stringent requirements can afford to engage her at the present. None save for perhaps you, Serenia. Oh, my salvation has come, and her name is Serenia. What exciting adventures into botany will she take me on, I wonder? As to that, we have received a petition for aid from faraway Ishgard. You will recall our dear friend and colleague Waterlon, who resides in the central highlands of Corvus? Well, a friend of his is struggling to raise crops in the Ishgardian frontier, and he begs us to send a botanist to aid him. The Ishgardian frontier? That sounds positively wild. I can already picture the title, Foreign Botanist at the Far Frontier. I've got a good feeling about this. I'll go on ahead to Reutelon's place and ask him a few questions. She certainly wastes no time. Assuming you're willing to take on this task and bear with Muji, please pay Reutelon a visit yourself and have the particulars from him. I have no doubt you will gain much from the experience. For good measure, here's a letter of introduction, and in case you have forgotten, Reutelon can be found at Skyfire Logs. Good luck to you, Serenia. Just imagine you could say no to Fufucha here, and just turn into the opposite direction and never show up, and Muji told him all that you told him that you would come, and you just don't show up. I've been expecting you, Serenia. Mistress Muji has told me everything, and rather more besides. And a letter of introduction for formality's sake. A letter of introduction? Ever proper as our Fufucha. She scarcely needs one of these to vouch for your skill, my friend. As you will have been informed, the petition comes not from me, but a friend. Basil is his name. He's a botanist engaged in settling the Sea of Clouds. That is where your task will take you, and for an extended period of time. Some years ago, House Helenard established an outpost there, and they seek to make the place self-sufficient. To this end, my friend has been attempting to cultivate various crops. Alas, results have been mixed at best, and that is where you come into the picture. Now, I should like to send you along to Basil at once, except Ishgard isn't accommodating of foreigners. We must find a way to circumvent the bureaucracy. You're a guest of House Fortoms, you say? Well then, your entry was not an issue from the first. However, I doubt whether Mistress Muji will be permitted to accompany you. You needn't worry. I have ways getting into places, and I will get into Ishgard. See if I don't. That is, well, I think. Now when Basil is returned to the Holy See to meet with you, if it suits, I shall let him know to look for you at the Everett Plaza. At the Everett Plaza, got it. See you there, Serenia. And this is really okay? Okay, where are we? Here. What took you so long? Your client's been waiting for a better part of a bell. Curious how I got into Ishgard? I shouldn't doubt. For now, let us suffice to say, if anyone asks, I'm your retainer. It is a pleasure to meet you, Serenia, and your lively retainer as well. I'm Basil. Thank you for making the long journey to Ishgard, but we still have ways to go, to be sure. As I'm sure you've been told, I'm a botanist at Camp Cloudtop. We're heavily reliant on supplies being brought in by airship, but I'm trying to change that. Unfortunately, my ventures into farming haven't yielded the results I had hoped for. And so I reached out to Rotalon, who then reached out to your guild. I'll be turning to your abundant knowledge and skilled hands both. In case you're wondering, I haven't any work for you just yet. Today's a meet and greet, as it were. When I've got a specific request, I'll send word by way of your trusty retainer. And a trusty retainer where one has never been, I shall convey all your messages without delay. I'd be much obliged, miss. Now then, I'd best get back to my work. I look forward to seeing you again, most certainly at Camp Cloudtop. I'll remain here in Ishgard and await words from Basil. Come by whenever you can spare a moment from your busy schedule. And level 53 is the next one. Sorry for interruption. Let's continue with Muji. Onions of life bestowing. Perfect timing, Serenia. What arrived from Basil not a moment ago. He has a task and bids you to come to Camp Cloudtop. Let us go at once. Seeds of hope sprout in the sea of clouds. What do you think? Pretty inspired, if I do say so myself. My thanks for coming on such short notice. To begin with, I'd like to ask your advice on crops that would thrive in this environment. Right now, our principal crop is a strain of pumpkin native to these islands. With some experimentation, we succeeded in cultivating it. Unfortunately, hardly anything else grows that's a viable food source. It has something to do with the ratio of wind and earth aspect at Aether up here. There's a much higher concentration of the former, you see, and hardly any of the latter. Geishel greens are just about the only other thing that has worked out, and these aren't the same as what we have in Curvers either. It may interest you to know that the seeds came to us from Gridania, from the Botanist Guild. Rotalon urged me to give them a try, and lo and behold, they cropped up like weeds. Strange things do happen, huh? But in the end, Geishel greens are fit only for chocobos, and what little I'm managing to grow at the moment doesn't make up for the shortfall of supplies. If we're to keep feeding the garrison, we need to find more crops that grow, and set about growing them as soon as possible. Or soon, we'll all be supping on bird fodder. And so I'd like to ask your opinion. In selecting a crop, what qualities are most critical? Hardiness to cold. I see. In that case, we might try our luck with onions. Ah, that reminds me, a hunter I spoke with recently mentioned having seen wild onions in the Dravanian forelands. The Cyclops onions they're called, and I fancy our chances of cultivating them. If we succeed, they would make a welcome addition to our rations. I'd be grateful if you could gather and bring me 10 bulbs of the best specimens you can find. And that means going to the Dravanian forelands. those even hidden? I believe they are. Can look in a moment. No. If then the small. Yeah, they are hidden here in the Chocobo Forest. Hidden means they're not in every gathering spot where they can appear. So there are Cyclops onions, for example. And I picked the wrong ability, which is great. But I'm very lucky. One. Good. And back to Camp Cloudtop. Yeah, that was very lucky right now. But it went so quickly. 3 hits at 25% chance are luck. 3 or 4 hits. Have you gathered the Cyclops onions? They can be found growing wild in the Dravanian forelands. Why, well, far larger than I had dared hope. My thanks, Serenia. I shall try growing them in our test plot right away. A test plot, you say? That's right, miss. Before we grow something in earnest, we need to make certain that it won't be a detriment to other crops. Though sustenance is important, so too is suitability. If we don't think ahead, we're liable to damage the environment, and that would leave us with nothing. I see. Pioneers must be at once bold and cautious. A delicate balancing act. With that, I believe I have sufficient material for my first article. I'll go back to Ishgard to send my notes to the chief editor. See you at the Ephemerate Plaza, Serenium. Glad tidings, Serenia. The chief editor was utterly taken by my draft, and the fourth installment of my series will soon grace the Raven. Oh, and lest you worry, I make sure to withhold names and locations. It's an Ishgardian outpost after all, and we can't well have such details known to all and sundry. But have a listen to this. So it was that the dilemma of a suitable crop was solved, thanks to the ingenuity of one humble botanist. It shall not be long ere this azure frontier is blanketed with life-giving cyclone onions. That's how I'm planning to close the article. I see you're not entirely convinced that the dilemma is solved. Well, it practically is. Only I can't write practically, the statement would lose something for it. As before, I will remain in Ishgard to await word from Basil. I look forward to the next task. Tree Whisperer 5. I was hoping you'd come by, but here's another task for you. Just so you know, I won't be accompanying you from now on. While you go about your gathering, I have a mind to do some gathering of my own. For information here in the Holy See. Having said that, I will require a report from you afterwards, so be sure to remember all the juicy details. Now, off you go to Camp Cloudtop. My thanks for your help the other day, Serenia. I'm pleased to report that the Cyclops onions are coming along nicely. This time I need your help to maintain soil quality. As you know, soil gradually becomes barren with continued cultivation. In order to keep it fertile, we normally grow crops of the bean family at regular intervals. Unless such beans as we have in Kerfurt refuse to grow here. Unless we do something, I fear the soil will cease to yield crops altogether. Is there aught you can suggest? Try growing a Gridanian variety of beans. But of course, we've managed to grow geisel greens from Gridanian seeds. Perhaps this success can be repeated with beans. I'm sorry to trouble you, but could you please travel to Gridania and consult Fufucha? If anybody knows a strain of beans to suit our needs, it will be she. And that means go back to Gridania. Okay, Fufucha, give me advice. If it isn't the toast of a guild, I've read all about your recent exploits in the Raven. You have been away only a short while and already you've achieved so much. We, all of us here, are very proud of you. Oh, embellished. Well, I suppose that's simply the way of Muji's profession. And though her words may have been flowery, I choose to believe that they are firmly rooted in the truth. In any case, all seems to be well with you, and for that I'm glad. Now, and was there something you wish to talk about? Cover crops for revitalizing soil, and those will grow in the sea of clouds besides. Difficult order to fill. From my experience, I would say that shroud veg would be best suited. Even so, it's not entirely ideal. Nay, it must be crossed with a highland strain to create what Basil needs. Now, rather than crossing strains haphazardly, I suggest you seek the counsel of a specialist. That is, an Ishgardi native versed in the local flora. Show to him this bundle of shroud veg, and he should be able to provide you with a name of a suitable match. As to where you might find such an individual, I dare say Muji will be the best person to ask. It is her business to know people after all. Okay, Muji. Fufucha suggested you come to me. Oh, she's a sharp one. Indeed, it's my business to know people, and I happen to know just the person you're looking for. Martino is his name, and he's no less than the foremost herbalist in all of Ishgard. I'll arrange a meeting right away. Actually, I wonder if it's appropriate to intervene in the doings of my subject. Never mind the details. They're the bane of a good story. I'll have Martino come and meet you at St. Ramanod's Cathedral. Off you go, Serenium. Okay, Martino. I need your expertise. You're the botanist who wished to speak with me? You certainly appear capable, as your frenetic friend led me to believe. I always enjoy the chance to engage with fellow lovers of nature, and being a researcher, I welcome the insights of gatherers like your good self. But come, I'm given to understand you seek advice on crossing strains of beans? I have these beans. I had always held the Botanist Guild in the highest regards. Seeing such fine specimens serves to reaffirm that sentiment. As Mistress Fufucha has already concluded, the shroud fetch will not prosper in the sea of clouds. It must needs be crossed with another strain to bring out its resilience. I would recommend emerald beans, a rare strand which grows in the churning mists. For your purposes, you will need perhaps 10 handfuls of the finest specimens you can find. And that, I trust you now know what is required. Should you have further questions, do not hesitate to seek me out again. It's remarkable how casually people mention going to the Churning Mists, given that this is deep in dragon territory, and normally people just don't go here. Now, I can farm this quick using last Leaf Turn 3 and Blessed Harvest together because I'm vastly overleveled for this quest. If you do this at level, you probably will need a bit longer than that. Apparently, again, a hidden item. Mythology tells me you managed to get Master Martineau's advice, even though he's notoriously elusive. You truly are dedicated to our cause, my friend. Ah, so these are emerald beans. If I understand correctly, the plan is to cross these with Shroud Wedge. Do you have a letter as well? Here you go. Marvelous. My thanks, Serenia. I shall set about cross-pollinating them at once. The process will require considerable time and effort, but I'm confident that it will be worth in the end. Ah, before I forget, Miss Muji left a message for you. She bids you come and meet her at the Heavensward Plaza in Ishgard. Okay. Welcome back, Serenia, and good work. Not only did you help Basil solve another problem, you served as a bridge connecting the people of Gridania and Ishgard. In case you're wondering, I've already sent off a draft for the second installment in my series. It's bound to be as successful as the first. There's not a hint of fabrication in there. Embellishments, certainly, but no fabrication. 2 nations, 1 seed. That's the title I have in mind. Simple but powerful, even if I do say so myself. Of course, my story is secondary to all your hard work. Basil's crops are coming along well, and it's no small part due to your effort. For his sake, please keep it up. You learned the luck of a pioneer. When you have, I believe this is 3 high quality gatherings after another, you can unlock hidden items in the gathering spot. Okay, but I think that's enough for this episode. Until next time, when we probably just finish the Botanist quest and see how we continue on. I am Ace, and don't get lost.